All right, so welcome everyone. Let's get started with the Q&A session. We're just here to answer questions. Anna will be joining us in just a moment. I've got a couple things that I'm going to open up with that were emailed questions that I want to clarify. Based on our pre-race video, we had a couple questions about how the 3-hour course was going to work, and I'll just kind of be a little more clear about that. So for the 3-hour race, even though the checkpoint numbers will be numbered numerically 1 through 30 something, I think, you can, and there's 4 different sections in the 3-hour race. You can visit those sections in any order. So let's say like the paddle, for example, maybe is 9, 10, and 11. You would not have to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 before that. You could just start with a paddle if you want and go right to 9, 10, 11. And you could get 9, 10, 11 in any order within that section. So for the 3-hour race, there's going to be 4 different sections. And each of those sections you can do in any order. And within each of those sections, you can get the checkpoints in any order. So that's how the 3-hour race will work. And you can either chime in or I guess the chat's probably easier to start with if you know how to use the chat. So Brian wrote in the chat, is there an 8-hour paddle bag drop? Let's see, we were a little vague about that on purpose, but I suppose at this point we can just tell you for the 8-hour race, you are going to start the race with the paddle bag in your hands, and we are going to transport you somewhere as you carry that paddle bag in your hand. So no paddle drop for the 8-hour race. Just have it with you ready to go, and we're going to put you on a bus. And you'll get on the bus and with your paddle here. Other questions? Actually, and let me keep going also with more clarifications that I wanted to mention. For the 18-hour race, on the opening trek, there is a lot of trails that are on your map. There's even more trails that are out there that aren't on your map. We basically mapped all the official trails, like ones that might be single track or horse trails or ski trails or snowshoe trails. But there's additional trails too. Some of them are on the base map, like the old USGS map is like dotted black lines. Some of them aren't on there at all. So just be really aware of that because you're going to have lots of trail intersections. We did our best to map all of them that you should come across. But if you take a creative route through something, you might find some extra trails that aren't on the map. I'll also mention, especially for the 18-hour race, that the course is very wet. Anything that's marked as a marsh or a depression is going to have water. As we were setting the flags, I was in ankle to knee deep water at times. So for the 18-hour racers, it is going to be wet on that opening trek. Be prepared for that. Also on the 18-hour race, there is a river crossing on the bike section. And we have marked the trail that you should use to safely get across the river. But as of yesterday, before the rain started to pick the river level up, it was about knee deep. So you should be prepared to cross a knee deep moving river with your bike. Don't attempt to ride it. It's going to be too deep for that. So plan to carry your bike across for 18-hour racers. And one last thing for the 18-hour race, in case you're curious, the pancake TA that has pancakes, bacon, and sausage will open at 7 in the morning. And if you get there and it's not open yet because you get there a little earlier and you're one of the lead teams, you'll be coming back to that TA later. So don't worry, you'll get a chance to have breakfast. All right, I got lots more questions in the chat.
I was going to join so I could start answering questions in the chat, but if you want to, yeah.
Let's just do it on.
Okay,
we can do. You can use this keyboard here.
Okay.
I'll just audibly answer the question in the chat.
Great.
Okay, so the next question in the chat was, would a gravel bike be okay in the 8-hour race? There is one section of single track that certainly would not be ideal for a gravel bike. You're going to want some wider tires for that. Yes. Mm-hmm. Especially because parts of the course are muddy. One part of the course is muddy. The other part is single track. So we'd recommend mountain bike tires for that single track. Thanks, Jason. Let's see. Can we use a drop-in seat for the third person? Absolutely. If you have a third person seat for the 18-hour race or the 8-hour race, frankly, they could do it for the 3-hour race too if they have a third person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That and I'm going to make a note about that.
Yeah.
So a third seat, you can certainly use a drop-in third seat for that middle person as long as they're not sitting on that part of the canoe. That is fine. And I'll send that out in an email to everyone because the 3-hour race this year could do that as well.
Just the center thwart of the canoe, as long as you're not sitting on that. But any seat you want to use for a third person is great.
Okay, next question as I'm going down the list here. For the 18-hour race, how many times will return to headquarters? How often with extra stuff? I wouldn't plan on it at all. Yeah, I wouldn't plan on returning to headquarters not once during the race. It's a long course with no access to headquarters in the 18-hour race.
You'll find out when you get your maps, because yeah, there will be, but yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess it would be out of your way to go there.
Okay.
So you could, but I wouldn't plan it for many hours in. And if you want to race fast, I wouldn't plan on it at all. Have you addressed bike security for the 8-hour race? So when you drop where you're going to drop your bikes, there's going to be race staff there at all times. Mm-hmm. Yep. So we'll have volunteers through the night for the 18-hour and then through the whole day watching bikes at anywhere where you would drop your bike at a transition area or at headquarters. Okay, is the prognosis of a gravel bike the same for the 18-hour? Yeah, there's some technical single track. Now, for both, I guess I should answer it this way too. For both the 8-hour race and the 18-hour race, you could choose to skip the single track sections. Nothing about that's required. You would just miss the checkpoints that are a part of that single track section. But certainly, especially in the 18-hour, there's some gnarly single track that while you could do on a gravel bike and it's allowed, it would just you could do it. You'd have to be a really good technical rider to do that. I sometimes ride a rigid mountain bike, meaning with no suspension, and I can get over that. But the skinnier the tires you get, just the harder it is on really technical stuff. Is there a bus for the 18-hour? I don't think we've said that yet. Quite possibly would be the answer for that. Let's see. Next. This is our very first adventure race. We're excited for the event. We're doing the 8-hour. When we drop our bike off, can we leave some of our nutrition with the bike to save on having to carry all of it the entire time? Yeah, for both the 3-hour race and the 8-hour race, you can leave stuff with your bike. You can drop stuff with your bike. But I mean, I think you know this at this point. If not, we'll just tell you. For both the 3-hour and the 8-hour race, the bike drop, we'll call it, is just at headquarters. You're just going to put your bike at headquarters. So yeah, you can absolutely leave whatever you like with your bike. And you can use that stuff as needed. Yes. Are there any extra Remote Adventure Challenge jerseys, kits available for purchase? So we got these awesome new. I'm wearing one. And I was wearing the 180 Adventure one tonight. No, unfortunately there's not. But what we could do is we can open up after the race, open up that store again for another round of orders. So we got these awesome hoodies and some bike jerseys for Remote Adventure Challenge. So we'll work on opening the store after the race. We don't have any on hand, but we do have shirts from previous years, Iron Bull apparel, and mugs and some other stuff that'll be available for purchase after the race. All right, next question I see from Tom. Will we be told how many possible checkpoints there are? Yeah, when you check in, you're going to get all the maps and all the instructions that you'll know exactly how many checkpoints there are. The only race in the 8-hour race, there's one map that you'll get as the very last section of the course. And you'll know how many checkpoints are on it, but you won't get the map for a particular reason until you get to that spot. But yeah, when you check in, you'll get all other maps. And for the 3-hour and the 18-hour, you'll get every map you need for the race at the very beginning. These are great questions. Awesome. Yep. What else do you have for us?
All the more reason to get there early and get your maps and plan your route and take all the time you can.
We always show up like 15 to 30 minutes early to a race just to get all the gear set, and then leave us as much time as we possibly can to map, because I'll take every minute I get. Mm-hmm. Is a gravel bike okay for the 3-hour race? Yeah, it is. Yes. There might be one section that's just a little muddy, but you'll be fine there. There's no single track riding on the 3-hour race. Okay, Tom asks, you noted in the recording video that a person may be able to see a canoe checkpoint while on land. Will you know that based on the checkpoint numbering system?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. On your pass or your clue sheet, there'll be truck points, bike points, paddle points, and it'll specify like the road, the mode of transportation you're supposed to take to get to those points. So that should be pretty clear.
Yeah, and even like when we give you when we like turn to like a map that's for a trek section, let's say, we've removed the paddle points for those sections. So you might see it in person if you're in that area, or you might like course, but actually you probably won't even. It would more be a matter of like having a map in one hand and a map in the other hand, being like, oh, we're really close to the map, the point from this canoe map I've got. but we're just asking you not to do that. Good question. So, all right, start times for 3 hour. The 3 hour race this year, everyone starts at 1 p.m. So everyone check-in opens for 3 hours at 10:30. It's a mass start for the 3 hour race. Everyone starts at 1 p.m. at headquarters. Are the maps 8.5 by 11 or 11 by 17? For the 8 hour, it is a mix of both. There's some 8.5 by 11. There's also 11 by 17 for the 8 hour. 18 hour has a mix of both. 3 hour is just 8.5 by 11 maps. Let's see. Gretchen has a question. Is the water available on the 18 hour? Yes. And we'll note, and we need to make sure do we have that in the instructions? Note where water is available?
We don't. We should,
okay.
Yeah.
Yes. There'll be multiple places along the 18 hour race where we will have water available for you. One is at the bike drop. One is at the pancake TA and special challenge TA. Yes. One more as well. Yep. So there's 3 places where you'll be able to fill up water. You still do need to plan to have your filtration system just in case. It's a matter of if you get stuck on a section for a long time or you run out for some reason.
And there is a lot of water on the course right now. It's very wet out there. There's lots of flowing streams.
I mentioned that earlier.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
A couple of friends of ours were helping set checkpoints, and they sent a picture of them with chest deep in water.
Swimming. Yeah.
No, I think
you would need to do that.
I think they were just enjoying a lake they came across, but we kind of wondered. Okay. Tim asks. For the 18-hour race, were there any cutoff times when sections of the race get closed if we don't reach them in time? I don't think so. You just need to plan your course accordingly to make sure you get back to headquarters by 18 hours after you click the start box in the 18-hour race. Mm-hmm. So we'd ask that you just be mindful of that. We specifically didn't list it because there's a bunch of things you could just skip and make your way back to headquarters. But if you don't leave yourself enough time to do the biking and trekking to get back, you'll be in trouble. So there's no cutoff times, but we ask that you do make sure you get back in time and leave yourself enough time to do so.
And there's quite a lot of course right around headquarters that might be easier to navigate to, trek points and things to get to. True. So if you're a newer team doing the 18-hour race, it would be more advantageous to skip harder points that take a long time earlier in the race. That's a hard call to make, but that's what we would recommend for this course is planning your course and maybe skipping things earlier on. If you're a newer team or you're a team that doesn't move as fast, that would be a good suggestion. And also for the 18-hour race, the trek sections later in the race, which are the same trek sections or similar trek sections that the 8-hour and the 3-hour are doing, they're much less wet. 3-hour races should be able to stay fairly dry with their feet. All right, Arzak asks, are there tables for mapping? Yes, we got a giant tent that got put up today, and there's, I don't know, 60 tables. Yeah, there's a bunch of tables. Yep. So there's lots of tables for mapping at headquarters. Curtis asks, is there a recommended PSI for tubeless bike that would work best for the road and off-road segments? It kind of depends what race you're doing. I personally, for me, we both run tubeless. If I was doing the 18-hour race, I'd probably start it. I mean, and I got skinny tires though, so 25 to 30 is what I would run. If you're running the 8-hour, you could probably go a little more than that. But I mean, whatever you're comfortable with, knowing that, right? That's the compromise. Certainly on the 8-hour and the 3-hour, there is significantly more road than there is single track or trail. All right, Brittany asks, how many map sets do you get? You get 1 map set per team when you check in. Beth and Andy ask, what advice would you have for a first-time racer? That's a great question in a 3-hour race. So Anna already mentioned, I think, the biggest thing, which is get there early to give yourselves plenty of time to absorb the course instructions and the course maps. I think that's the biggest thing. Go ahead. I would read through, if you haven't gotten a chance to, read through all the documents that we've already sent, watch the other pre-race video, make sure that you've really, done your work leading up to this and planning. Bring plenty of snacks. For the 3-hour race, make sure you have enough water to get you through the whole course. And I think so then the next thing is, when you get to the sections that require some map and compass navigation, take your time when you first start out. Don't rush into it. That's the biggest mistake people make, is they get off their bike to a trek section, they just run fast into the woods, and then they get lost. So take lots of time, be very purposeful.
Especially when you start out. It's hard to do because the adrenaline's rushing, you want to go fast, but especially at the beginning of it, go slow. And then as you get more comfortable with the map and how the map corresponds to what's out there in real life, then you can start speeding up. But just take it slow at first would be a great suggestion. Are there gluten-free pancakes?
This must be an 18-hour racer. There is not gluten-free pancakes, but if you're an 18-hour racer, there is bacon and sausage. I think they're also doing.
So if you're vegetarian and gluten-free, you might be in a little bit of bad luck. Well, maybe, I guess, message us if that's the case, and we'll see what we can do to get something for you that's vegetarian and gluten-free. We'll really, honestly, please do message us. We'll get something out there for you. Can you use your canoes? Oh, I missed one. Okay, Jason asks, is the 3-hour course as wet as you were talking about? No. You might get your feet wet once on the 3-hour course. I'm trying to think.
I wouldn't guarantee anything.
It's been raining, right? So
it's been wet and buggy out there, but
yeah. No. I think at most you'll get ankle deep, maybe at one checkpoint in 3 hours. You might be able to get away if you can like step across rocks without stepping into water. You might be able to go without not getting wet at all in the 3-hour race. Yeah, I think so. Okay, JT and Jamie ask, can you use your phone to plan between map pickup and race start? Yes, you can. The only time that's a great question, actually. And some races do this differently. But I believe most races, like in the US Area Series, including nationals, nationals maybe was different last. Anyway, sorry. Yes, you can use your phone up until you start. But then once you start, your phone needs to be turned off in your pack and only taken out if in an emergency, which would be a disqualification. Will we have a key drop?
Yes, we've done that before.
We've done that before, sure.
Or
so I'm a little hesitant because it gets complicated if 500 people give us their keys. But if your keys are well labeled and identifiable, then yes. Maybe we'll ask that you put your name on them. That would be a good, if you plan to leave your keys with us, put your name on them somehow. Otherwise it gets really complicated for our volunteers.
Usually maybe there's like a couple people that ask to leave their keys. So if you can manage your own keys, great. But if you do need to drop your keys, we can help you out with that.
Are all the CPs pre-plotted on the maps? Yes, they are. So some races have you plot the maps in the pre-race. All the CPs are pre-plotted. I'm going to mention one thing right now that we're kind of just crossing our fingers and hopeful. Right now, the river that you're going to be on is very high, like just maybe just borderline dangerously high. So it rained a bunch last week and it just rained yesterday again. We're hoping that by the time the race starts, the river goes back down to a reasonable level. If it doesn't, then that would be the one exception, is we'd probably give you an alternate paddling plan that would be safe. And not as much into the current. So that's the one place where you might have a course change that's not already on your maps that are printed, but the plan is that, yes, they will all be pre-plotted. Okay, gluten-free and veg potato chips. We will get them.
Maybe you want to pack some potato chips along. They're super lightweight.
Well, no, but we're providing food for other people.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah. Great. Yeah.
Anna.
I always pack potato chips on races.
Yeah, we actually do. But yes, so potato chips at the pancake tea. We will do that, absolutely. But ask for them because we don't want to give them to everyone because we'll run out. So that's just for you vegetarian, gluten-free people. Okay, reading on.
Chest deep in water.
Someone was chest deep in water on a shortcut that failed. Yeah, no, that'll happen. I mean, we've been there. We've been the points where we can barely touch our toes in the bottom to make sure we're not swimming. Okay, Eric says, hello, didn't mean to mean, just happened. Just happens that way, Jason. Yeah. All right. Any other questions? JT and Jamie asked, do you have to get one CP from each discipline, or you can skip a discipline entirely? This year, we are allowing you to skip a discipline entirely. So as long as you get one checkpoint, you're an official finisher. So you could choose to skip an entire trek, or you could skip the entire paddle.
Paddles, yeah.
Yes, to be an official finisher, you just need to get one checkpoint and get back, but you're of course ranked by the number of checkpoints you get. Okay, can we clarify the rules around having an active GPS in your pack? Understanding? Yes, absolutely. So it's the honor system, frankly. A lot of adventure racing is the honor system. And we trust that you all do that. There's 500 other racers out there. So hopefully everyone will keep each other in check and make sure no one's pulling out phones and GPS devices and looking at them. So if you want to use your watch or other GPS device for like Strava or something, which we like to do too, right? Like it's nice to look at your route after the fact. You can certainly go ahead and do that. It just needs to stay in your pack. So turn it on before the race starts, and then don't take it out again until after you finish the race. These are all great questions. Give another minute or two if anyone comes up with something. But again, the course is going to be awesome this year. There's just some great areas. We've been posting some pictures on the Facebook page of some really cool areas, some fun stuff. So we can't wait to see you all this weekend, starting with 18-hour racers checking in tomorrow night. You'll be busily mapping 24 hours from right now. Any specific med kit items? Nope. I think we're just kind of relying on you to know what would be needed in case there was a medical emergency. Clarifying that this year we don't need to do CPs in order. Yes, that's correct. There's no CPs you need to do in order. For the 8-hour race and the 18-hour race, there are sections that need to be done in order. But the CPs within each section, like let's say the 18-hour starts with a trek and then goes to a bike, you have to do all the trek points in any order you want before you move on to the bike. And then once you move on to the bike, you're done with the trek before. For the 3-hour race, pretty much, actually not pretty much, everything is in any order you want. You just need to get the checkpoints via the discipline that they're listed in. Yeah, thanks, Jason. We're super excited too.
Yeah.
All right, Tom asks, for the 8-hour race, are the disciplines mixed up, i.e. some biking, some trekking, some canoeing, then back to some biking? Yep, absolutely they are. Yep. We won't tell you how they're mixed up. You'll find out when you check in. But yeah, it's not just 3 sections. It's more than that. Is the 18-hour race river or open water paddle? You will find out tomorrow when you get your maps. We don't want to give away too much.
Suggestions for med kit might be Benadryl if someone has allergies. Something for compression, like if someone gets a puncture wound or something. Usually we like to pack like an ACE wrap.
I've many times in an adventure race, because I'm staring down at the map as I'm running, whacked my head into a tree branch and needed to wrap my head in gauze or some kind of compression because I'm bleeding. So that's always a nice thing to have.
Some people like to pack Tylenol or ibuprofen. Sometimes Band-Aids, blister packs, especially for the 18-hour race. If you get blisters on your feet from rubbing and wet feet, like a foot kit with blister bandages can be helpful, or KT tape if you've got something for your feet. Lube for chafing can be a nice thing to take along on an 18-hour race too. For 8 and 3-hour, you can pretty much get through most of it without bringing much, but Benadryl might be a good thing, and something just, to stop bleeding in case anyone gets injured would be a good thing. Some sort of compression bandage or ACE wrap.
Thanks for the comment, Mike. That's great. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow, friend. Any other last minute questions? Oh, it's going to be a fun weekend. We can't wait to see you all. Anything else we need to remind everybody of? I don't think so. We talked about the 3 hours of mass start, the 8-hour and the 18-hour are staggered. Hopefully you've all watched the pre-race video. If you haven't done that yet, we'd certainly encourage you to watch that pre-race video we published on YouTube. And we will have one for the 3-hour race. We'll just mention this. We will have one final kind of pre-race briefing. We know that the vast majority of the 3-hour races are brand new to adventure racing. So on race day, we'll have a pre-race meeting a half an hour before that mass race start. So we'll have one more chance to kind of go over everything. Or if you have other questions come up, you can ask those at that pre-race meeting as well.
I like the fun in quotation marks. That's great.
Well, fantastic, everyone. We are so excited to see you either tomorrow or Saturday. Have fun packing. have fun getting ready. And yeah, we'll look forward to seeing you up in Brokaw, just north of Wausau, on Friday night or Saturday morning or afternoon. All right, we'll log off. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you soon.